So Tyson Fury is doing his job again as always and stoking the fire of the boxing community because people love drama, people love gossip, and these big fighters like Fury, Joshua, they can say anything and they get media coverage. So essentially Tyson Fury's come out, he said he's retiring, and the whole talking point around it isn't actually the retirement. It's instead him saying Dick Turpin wore a mask, which is in reference to Dick Turpin, who was a highwayman. He would do stick-ups. He would rob people. That's the point. He would rob people. So people have been speculating over and over. Why is he retiring? Why is he retiring now, considering that the AJ fight looked like it was on the cards? What's this got to do? Is he still salty over the Usyk losses? Or is this to do with perhaps negotiations that were going on with Joshua and Hearn and Warren? One thing I do like about all this is that despite it getting media coverage, which I mean you kind of have to, Tyson Fury is one of the biggest figures in the sport. If you don't talk about it, it's ridiculous. I don't understand. I've seen some people say like, oh, why talk sport talking about this? Why like boxing channels talking about it? It's because it's Tyson Fury. He's one of the biggest characters, one of the biggest figures in boxing. You cannot not talk about Tyson Fury saying, I'm retiring, even though he's done it like a million times by this point. So essentially the retirement thing is irrelevant. He's younger than Usyk, someone who, you know, in my opinion, I think should retire right now, but it's irrelevant. He's younger than Usyk. He's just had two close fights with Usyk, who he himself will know is the best of the best in the heavyweight division right now. Tyson Fury, I think he's got every belief. He's got every belief in himself that he could beat Anthony Joshua. He could and would beat Anthony Joshua. And to be honest, judging both of their last two fights, I would make Tyson Fury a significantly heavy favorite if Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fought now. I think AJ, I think his punch resistance is worryingly gone at this point. I know he was obviously in there with a huge puncher like Dubois, but there's huge concerns over things like punch resistance, being gun shy, his mentality. I would be making, as I said, Fury a heavy favourite if they ever fought. But in relation to Tyson Fury saying he's retired and Dick Turpin wore a mask, there's two main things that people took away from it. And that's either that he's making that Dick Turpin reference in regards to the two Usyk fights, because he obviously came out of both of them saying he felt like he was robbed, he should have won both of them, or he's either saying it in regards to potential negotiations that had begun for the Anthony Joshua fight. Now, there is a third option that I've concocted in my head that I believe, I'm not saying this is necessarily right, like all of these potential theories around what he actually means, but it's kind of it's a combination of both in my head. I feel like it has more to do with the Usyk fights. I feel like Fury is incredibly bitter. I feel like he's incredibly bitter because in his own mind, I feel like he's not deluding himself. Unlike he's trying to delude the general public, which he has failed to do badly, which will make him even more bitter that nobody believes him. Pretty much everyone thinks Usyk won. I feel like Tyson Fury, deep down, knows for a fact that he lost. He definitely lost the second fight. That was more conclusive. And the first fight, he probably knew he definitely lost that as well. But the point that I'm getting at is maybe I'm reading into the language too much, but you wouldn't say Dick Turpin wore a mask if you were talking about several people. You know, the only person he can blame in this scenario is the three judges who would have robbed him. And I get it is just like the saying that Fury put out there. Like if you used it in a conversation in relation to you getting robbed or whatever, you would say at least Dick Turpin wore a mask. But that's kind of the point. And as I said, I could be reading into the language a bit much. That's in reference to a single person, an individual. And the reason I'm thinking into the language so much is that immediately after the Fury Usyk 2 fight, and kind of after the first one, Fury's all over the place. He's so bitter about not getting those wins. In the first fight, you heard him saying, "Oh, it's because Usyk his country's at war. Of course, I'm not going to get the decision," which is obviously nonsense. But in the second fight, I distinctly remember Fury saying something along the lines of, you can't get anything in this country. As in, like, you can't get a result. Nothing's going to go my way if I'm fighting here. And they're obviously fighting in Saudi Arabia, right? They're not fighting in Britain. They're not fighting in Ukraine. So immediately the thought popped in my head, what if the relationship between Fury and perhaps Turki Al-Sheikh has broken down? Now, I'm not saying in relation to people like Spencer Brown or Frank Warren. They obviously still have a good relationship with Turki because they're still doing fights with them. But I've just got a feeling that Fury is incredibly bitter. He wasn't happy about either of the results. Felt like he should have got the decision. And at the end of that second fight, I distinctly remember him relating the country he was fighting in to not getting the decision. So basically what I'm saying is that Dick Turpin in this scenario actually is Turki Al-Sheikh. I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying any of these other potential theories are wrong. I'm just saying that the first thought that started concocting in my mind is that I wouldn't put it past Tyson Fury to put it on one man, look at Turki Al-Sheikh and thinking, you're making these deals, you're making these fights, you're making me fight in your country, and that is why I'm not getting the decisions. That is why I'm not beating Usyk, because of you. As I keep saying, I could be wrong. It's just a theory. It's the first thing that really started concocting in my mind, and maybe just see it as an alternative take from the other two takes that everyone's starting to put together. But then there's the other point. If Tyson Fury is retired, I say good riddance. Unlike everyone started to say in this announcement, oh, Tyson Fury's great for the sport. He is such a character. I think the complete opposite. I've completely turned on Tyson Fury ever since the Wilder fights. I think ever since then he's become an absolute cancer for boxing and a cancer for the heavyweight division. He slowed everything up. He didn't want to make good fights. He purposely drew out negotiations, made ridiculous deals. He tried everything he could to not fight the likes of Usyk and not fight the likes of Joshua. I've always pinned the fact that we never got AJ versus Fury on Fury. I feel like it was his fault. And then you get into the ego side of things. Him walking about saying, oh, I'm the best heavyweight ever, best heavyweight of all time, after knocking out Dillian Whyte, without fighting Usyk, without fighting Anthony Joshua, and as we're seeing now, not fighting the likes of Daniel Dubois, not fighting the likes of Joseph Parker, who I get as his friend, not fighting the likes of Martin Bakole, people like that. At the time, you would even be looking at it and going, why don't you fight Joe Joyce? Fight someone like Joe Joyce. Fight someone like Zhang. Fight someone like Hrgovic. Fury has fought none of those people. How could he ever even be in the conversation of being the greatest heavyweight in his generation, let alone all time? Definitely not all time. Usyk's only in that argument now because he's beaten the best of the best. And even then, you sort of look at Usyk's resume and go, you can't, maybe you can be classed as an all-time great, but you would like to see more fights on Usyk's heavyweight resume. Maybe an all-time great fighter, an all-time great boxer, maybe, but an all-time great heavyweight, you need a proper resume. As I say, even in Usyk's situation, he's fought the best of the best. He's become undisputed. He's clearly beaten the best in the division aside from him. But you need to see more. You need to see how he deals with more styles, But the difference is Usyk, I can imagine, and it might come back to bite him. I can imagine Usyk, even in this stage of his career, wanting to do that, continuing to fight and prove himself and create a legacy that would warrant someone saying he is one of the best fighters ever. Fury, on the other hand, has just been ridiculous, really, ever since he became a star. You got to think about it, really. He came back with this whole mental health angle. He was quite an inspiring figure for a while. I definitely thought that. He came back after the Klitschko fights, after going into this complete depression where he blew up to like insane sizes. He was overweight. He seemed down and out. Never seemed like he was going to come back to boxing. And then he comes back and becomes a world champion again. A proper inspiring story. But ever since then, he's just become this like slimy, despicable, lying figure. Any bit of goodwill that he had with the general public is turned against him. The fact that you've got the general public in Britain wanting Usyk to win. It says it all. It says it all. So Tyson Fury's legacy as a personality in boxing, I think he's ruined that. I think he had a real chance of being quite an inspiring figure after the Wilder fights, but he's ruined that for all the reasons I just listed. You know, drawing out negotiations, saying I'm not fighting him. His legacy, at least for me, is tainted. I don't see him as a figure, if he is retiring now. I don't see him as a figure I would class as the best of his era, obviously. I would call him a classless character. I think the way he acted on the run-up to the Usyk fights, both of them, was ridiculous. Blown up middleweight, he was saying, wasn't he? Yeah, by the end of his career, I'm not a fan of Tyson Fury whatsoever. I even look to someone like Anthony Joshua, who I do have problems with. I look at someone like Anthony Joshua and think, you're quite arrogant, actually. You're an arrogant figure, and it's clearly because there's something, there's some doubts in your mind, and that's definitely how I felt on the run-up to the Dubois fight. He was incredibly arrogant, had a real sort of ego about him. But even someone like Joshua, I've got so much more respect at how he conducts himself and how he's conducted himself throughout his career. Fury, on the whole, but once he got the limelight, once he became a genuine star, he just became this complete liar. Yeah, like I would never listen to Tyson Fury talk for like the past few years, because I just think anything you say, it's not going to be true. You're a compulsive liar. Everything that comes out of your mouth is bullshit. But looking away from the whole retirement thing, because, I mean, no one believes that, really. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. No one cares. No one really cares about the Joshua fight anymore, despite what these promoters say. What the promoters are latching onto is that the fans would watch it. And that's right. If that fight got made, we would watch it, without a doubt. But it's more the fact that, just like that Chris Eubank-Conor Benn fight, which is made now, if that never came to fruition, we wouldn't care. We wouldn't care at this point. It's kind of like AJ Wilder. I mean, AJ Wilder, for me, at this point, is a more interesting fight, because I would make Fury such a heavy favourite if he fought Joshua. And we can't forget, that is another thing, by the way, in relation to my initial theory about Fury potentially having a problem with Turki Al-Sheikh, is that Turki Al-Sheikh turned up on Talk Sport very recently, and he was talking to Simon Jordan, Jim White, you know, and he made the point while talking to them that if Fury is very well retired, he's going to move on and make AJ Wilder, hopefully. And you've got to realise that's quite important. You know, if this was a negotiation tactic, like some people are saying from Fury, that's not something you want to hear. The main man in charge, the guy with the bag, the guy who's making these fights, really, saying, well, you're retired, so we're moving on. Like, if that's true, if this is all a negotiation tactic to get more money, what's he expecting? What, Turki Al-Sheikh to go groveling to Fury's feet? No. He knows his boxing, he's making good fights, and I don't think he would bow down to anyone trying to play those games in, like, negotiation, especially with him. But as I said, if Fury's genuinely retired, good riddance. I am glad he is out of the sport, and realistically, I've got nothing against the likes of people like Joshua, Usyk, obviously. I mean, Wilder's basically done, but for some reason he's trying to come back, probably trying to get the AJ fight. That's fine, I'd like to see that. But I'm at the stage where I want these heavyweights to get out now. I'm tired of the whole AJ, Wilder, Fury, Usyk discussions. You know, nothing against Usyk. I more want him to get out of the sport, because if he keeps on fighting for much longer, I think he's gonna lose to someone, and lose to someone you go, what? He beat him? But the point is, I just think there's so much more excitement in the upcoming heavyweight generation, and you've got people with concerns like, oh, these guys, Moses Otama doesn't have the personality, Daniel Dubois hasn't got the personality. One, I don't care. For one, if you're a true boxing fan, what do you care? Why do you care about what their personality is? Why do you want Daniel Dubois to go on a mic and have a go at Joseph Parker? I don't care. I want to see him get in the ring and fight. But even then, the point is, it's like, have you not seen AJ and Fury at the start of their careers? They weren't very good talkers. These are people that are literally going to develop before our eyes. They're younger men, and they're getting proper limelight on them now. So, and as we've been seeing already, someone like Daniel Dubois, who was an awful talker and still basically is, he is starting to come out of his shell, and he's starting to talk a bit more, and he's not talking like brilliantly, but he's talking better than he was. So any concerns about this next heavyweight generation being boring is ridiculous to me. There's such exciting fighters that I want to see, and such exciting matchups I want to see. You know, that if these upcoming fighters stay on this trajectory and keep excelling and stay at this high level, we're going to get matchups like Daniel Dubois versus Moses Itauma. That is a proper exciting matchup. Even though I wouldn't class him as the new generation, you've got the likes of Martin McCauley, who I imagine is going to be sticking around for a while. You know, he spent most of his career complaining about how he's not being given a chance, and with the Saudis in now, he will be given those chances if he keeps winning. So you have people like that. Zhang, I can't imagine will be around for much longer. But then you've got to think, you've got the likes of Caballero. You know, he's only 32. He's going to be around for a while. You've got people like Joseph Parker. He's 33. He'll be around for a while. You've got the likes of Lawrence Okoli, you know, also 32, who's just come up to heavyweight. And I get some people have a problem with like Lawrence Okoli's style, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see these matchups. Like, it's like, especially seeing how I get he was a pudding. Seeing how Lawrence Okoli dealt with the guy he fought when he moved up to heavyweight. He's got a hell of a punch on him, and I'd like to see him in there with other fighters like Fabio Wardley, people like him. And then you've got those guys on the fringe, you know, Justice Hooney. He's only 25. Again, another fighter I haven't been too impressed with, but you know, he's had 12 fights, and he's a young heavyweight, and I'll be interested to see where he goes. So the point is, any concerns about this next heavyweight division being boring? Oh, there's no personalities. One, that's irrelevant. We just want to see good fights. And if you're looking for good fights, Turki Al-Sheikh is going to be making them, and there's enough talent there, trust me, to get some proper good fights on the table. So at the end of the day, if Tyson Fury's retired, if he hasn't retired, if he feels like he's robbed, if he feels like Turki Al-Sheikh's robbed him, felt like his negotiations aren't going his way, who cares? I mean, as I've already said, I find Tyson Fury, despite how great, and I do think this, I think he's a great fighter. I think he's a great fighter. I think it says a lot that he gave Alexander Usyk some serious questions that he needed to answer. And just because Usyk answered them, it doesn't say that Fury is shit. It says how good Usyk is, because I think Fury is a great fighter, and I think he would have a great resume and a much better legacy if he just took the big fights at the right time. If we got AJ versus Fury when they were in their prime, when they were world champions, if we got that, he would have been a much more likable figure. I think he would have been, even if he wasn't a likable figure, you would look at his resume and go, damn, he fought the best of the best. He was really trying to be the best of his generation. And you know, the Ukrainian came along and he flipped the script. He turned his fans against him, and he was the one who ended up proving he was the best, because he took those risks, he took those chances, and he knew in himself that he was better than them.